Good evening. I have the lovely Rob Barrow with me. Hi, Rob. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
So nice to see you, Donna. Thank you for having me. I'm a thriller writer. I've got a book that's completed, and my agent is sending it out for submission at the moment. So lots of exciting stuff in the pipeline. And I live between Cyprus and the UK at the moment. So not so much travel in the last year or so, but working on it in the future, hopefully.
Did you always want to be a writer?
Oh, my degree was in film studies, so I wanted to be a script writer, or a teacher was my original. And then I realized to have a chance of teaching film studies, you need to have a degree in maths or English pretty much. So that didn't quite pan out that way. But yeah, just I think I've always been a songwriter as well. So I've always been writing something, whether it's lyrics or a script. And I turned my hand to writing a few years ago. And yeah, it's kind of worked out that way. Yeah.
And what made you choose thriller as your genre?
Do you know what? It was actually it's like a chance meeting at a night market in during my travels. I was in Thailand, and I was sat eating some food. I was on my own, and this young lady came and sat in the seat opposite me, and she was asking me just a few questions about me. And she was a biochemist from it might have been, it was the Netherlands somewhere. And that's basically one of the protagonists in my story ended up being a biochemist from the Netherlands. And that was just in my head for a while. And it wasn't until I reached my next destination, which happened to be New Zealand about a month later, that I was just sat in a cafe, as in between work pieces, and I just started writing this thing. And for me, it was a momentum that just snowballed. And that was how it became. It just became a thriller. I just came up with this premise, and some of the things are like conversations I've had with friends, like conspiracy theories and stuff. I mean, I'm no conspiracy theorist myself, but I know enough people to give me plenty of ammunition for a conspiracy thriller, which is what mine has turned out to be.
Awesome. What's the most interesting thing you found while doing research for it?
That's a really good question, actually. So I think one of the most interesting things was, because I love travel, was exploring a new city I've never been to. So a large part of it is set in Rotterdam, and I've never been there. But by the end of the story, I felt like I had. So it was trying to pick out some of the landmarks, do them justice in a bit of description, but also, yeah, just like the streets, getting a feel for like literally just going, I'm going to go down a random street in Rotterdam, and then I'm going to describe it in my story. It's just like a cobbled street or something like that. So yeah, I think that was probably one of my favorite parts. And I found some similarities between it and the Bristol, which was it starts in Bristol. They're quite like similar cities in some ways. So that was really interesting as well.
Were you gutted that you started writing it during a pandemic where you couldn't actually go visit and see for yourself?
Well, the funny thing was, right, it's part of it centers around a vaccine and a dodgy ingredient in it. But I actually finished editing like the last serious round of edits in the April, and coronavirus kind of became a thing in the March. So I'd already written over the 18 months before that. So I guess I'm possibly to blame in some small way. So I apologize to everybody.
I should hope so too. And is it going to be a series or is it a standalone?
I've started writing the next book. Yes, so I think there's going to be two books, but it's going to be a bit different. It's going to be from a different character's point of view from the first one, because I think that character was kind of done. The main character by the end of it possibly reached a kind of finality to his storyline, I guess, and yeah, so it's taken a different route. But I'm really excited about it, and it's been really good writing from a different character's point of view, because the character that I've written for, yeah, she kind of kicks ass a bit, so I'm quite happy about that. I like writing about her and from her.
And if you were to be a character in either of your two books so far, which would you choose to be?
It would definitely be Patty. She's a bit of a kick-ass character, She's very witty, dry humoured, doesn't take any BS, and I think a lot of people would like to be a bit like Patty at some point when you want to think of a quick line or response. She's always got something in her back pocket to fire back at someone. So yeah, definitely be Patty. And she's a bit of a sharpshooter as well. So I think she'd be kind of useful if I was in some sort of industrial espionage in Rotterdam.
What have you found most difficult about writing so far, and what have you enjoyed most?
So the difficult part was almost post-writing, was when you kind of send it out to try and find an agent, and it kind of gets a bit soul destroying. And I actually joined Twitter in January this year to try and kind of remedy that and see if, because I was going to go down the self-publishing route if I couldn't get any traction on it. But thankfully, I found a really amazing agency in A for Authors, and with Kirsty, and it's just been really worked out really well for me in that sense. So I can't really complain too much about the struggle in that way. But I think that was probably the hard part. There were times where I just thought, okay, I'm getting impatient. And it also sat on the book for about 9 months after finishing it to kind of go back to it with fresh eyes. But some of the things that other people find maybe laborious, I actually found quite great. I worked with an editor and I really enjoyed the editing process, and I learned a lot in that way as well. But yeah, there were times where it kind of gets a bit, I'm not really hearing much, and I think maybe the whole pandemic of the last year and a bit has made that difficult for agencies and agents, because I think maybe 10 times as many people are writing books in their spare time, possibly. I can't say, but yeah, no, I definitely enjoyed that process of it, and I didn't think I would, the editing. But yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah, I know some people do enjoy it, actually. Most people don't, but some do.
Yeah, I know. So I went through this whole process of reading it from start to finish. I went 3 times, like in short succession. So I was just literally really got in depth in it. Yeah, I think you learn quite a lot about yourself and how you write. Because I'm a bit of a pantser, so I've like got notes everywhere and in my phone written down in notebooks, and then I have to find stuff, and I'm like, where did I put that? I don't know. It sounds like it's here. It's not, but that will do. That will work. So you're just pulling stuff out of different hats and all sorts of places. Yeah.
How did you decide on your character names?
Oh, that's a really, really good one, actually. Actually, I can tell you there was so one of the main female protagonists, Patty, she uses a code name, Patty Caulfield, and so Patricia Caulfield. So Patrick Caulfield is one of my favorite artists. So I kind of turned it into something I could use, and they pop up in the book a few times. There's another character whose surname is Blake, and that is one of my other favorite artists, Peter Blake, like kind of the godfather of British pop art. So I tried to get them in there as much as I could. And there's a few other bits about art, because I've got a bit of a thing for it, I suppose. So that was the theme for this book, and maybe I'll use a similar one or different for my character names in other books, but it kind of worked out that way.
Awesome, I love that. Do you have any fears or phobias, and would you write about them?
Interesting you say that as well, because I've got a bit of a thing about puppets. I'm not really a big fan of puppets, and I wrote about them, which is probably my own version of therapy, because I put them in there, and there's just something about them that is too otherworldly that I can't cope with. So if anyone's ever going to buy me a present, please let it not be a puppet, or Pinocchio or anything to do with that. That would be great. So I'd say that was my one. And in I don't have any animal phobias or anything like that, but where we lived in Cyprus, you get like tarantulas and snakes quite a lot. And I actually saved a tarantula from a swimming pool once, and then it thanked me by chasing me. So that wasn't fun.
Did you run away screaming like a girl?
There was some screaming involved, but I think it was pretty manly, I have to be honest. I just backed away, and I was faster than it, thankfully, even though it had more legs than me.
Yeah, we only have your side of the story for that, so I'll have to
That's
take
true.
your
I mean,
word for it.
the tarantula sold his to the Daily Mail, so you can't trust a word he says.
Oh, I've been to Cyprus. I'm so glad I didn't know there were tarantulas there. I've never stepped foot there. And I'm not even that scared of spiders, but tarantulas,
They will chase you, so yeah, beware.
they could have me. I couldn't even be asked. They've got 8 legs. I'm like, oh, fuck it. Just bite me. It's fine. Yeah. I mean, the worst we saw was cockroaches, I think. So that was fine.
Plenty of them there as well, actually. Yeah, that's not great. They're probably worse. They're probably big enough to eat some of the spiders, a lot of those.
Yeah. I mean, I've done my dissertation on insects, so considering I'm not really a fan, I'm just an idiot, I think.
At least you know what you're dealing with when you see it.
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you? But yeah. It wasn't so great, but it passed, so it's fine.
Brilliant.
Have you made lots of author friends, especially since joining Twitter?
Yeah, I have. That's been one of the major things that I've really been thankful for, actually. So one of the first people to reach out to me was Awais Khan, and like obviously his book In the Company of Strangers is absolutely incredible. I absolutely love that book, and he's got No Honor coming out soon, which is I'm really looking forward to reading. And I hear amazing things about it, but it's just one of those things where you're really glad that their book is amazing because it's an amazing person. So he was one of the first people to reach out to me. He got on a call with me straight away, and when I was thinking about self-publishing, he said, "You need to do this, and I can help you this," and it's just great. And yeah, just super helpful person. Yeah, and there's just been lots of other great people I've met. Just pretty much everyone I interact with on a daily or weekly basis on there. Just kind of just made this whole kind of year of absolute rubbish and turmoil because of the pandemic just so much more bearable, I think. So I say, like, I've got like a whole Twitter family, really. Like, I just got some great people. There's a Mary Loudon. I've probably given a great disservice there by pronouncing that completely wrong. She's been great, and we speak quite often as well. And you just don't realize that a Twitter community can be so supportive, I think, until you're in the middle of it. And one of the things that I've always been rubbish with on social media in a way is I'll look at it, but I won't necessarily contribute. And I think I made a decision to kind of get stuck in at the start of the year and try and make a following, but also find out what's what, meet some people. And it's been the best decision I could have made for my writing. Definitely, absolutely.
Yeah, the Facebook community is amazing as well. All the groups and stuff are just incredible. So, yeah.
Have to get more involved in Facebook.
Yes, you should, definitely. Just because there are so many amazing authors. But yeah, Awais is just a lovely human. He just is so sweet.
He's brilliant.
Yeah, hopefully I can meet him when he comes over again. So
I think you have to join a long queue because I think there's a lot of people who want to meet him, but we'll all get to the airport and welcome him in.
Yeah, well, if Alan Gorovan comes, then I'll elbow Awais out of the way just to get to Al first, and then away.
Alan's another great guy, and we're also part of the same agency actually, and Alan's been really helpful as well. He's another top guy and a very talented writer again. So there's all these amazing thriller authors out there that I never would have known if I wouldn't have come to the Twitter community. So there's another perk.
And posted weird pictures of coffee, which is pretty much what you do.
Some of them are weird. Some of them look exactly like a hedgehog. What can I say? So
no,
none of them do. That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
I mean, that is pretty much, apart from the occasional tweet, generally your Twitter feed is coffee.
It's true. I'm missing my espresso machine whilst I'm in the UK at the moment, actually. So I'm gonna have to. I'm thinking about sourcing another one, but it is funny how Twitter is funny. What some days you'll post something about a book, your book, someone else's book, and it'll get some good traction, good interaction, and the Twitter gods give you a good version of their algorithm for that day. And then the next day you'll do something similar and you get like 5 people will see it or whatever. But then you can guarantee if you post a terrible picture of latte art, you're going to get at least 30 to 50 likes. So But the point of that for me is just kind of waking up and speaking to people, and just having a fun time with, I wouldn't even call people strangers anymore now. I've known people online for so long, so it's great.
Weirdos.
We all are though, aren't we? We all are, so it's fine.
Hey, don't, tar us all with your brush. Actually, no, I can't even say that for straight face. My reputation precedes me there, I feel.
You're one of us and we're one of you, so it's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you a big reader?
Do you know, I didn't read a lot when I was writing the book, actually. I was saying this the other day to someone. I read a fair bit now, but when I was writing the book, in the lead up to it, I wasn't reading a lot because I was traveling as well, and I was kind of out of, what did you call it, a rut potentially. But when I wrote the book over the 18 months, I barely read anything. And I think part of that might have been where I've written music in the past, I try not to listen to too much new music so it doesn't influence what I make. So I was very conscious of having my own voice when I started getting the ball rolling with the writing. So it wasn't until I kind of got to the editing process that I started picking up the reading again. But I'm far from a prolific reader compared to some of the amazing bloggers out there who somehow manage to read a book or 5 in a day. I don't know how you do it, but fair play. But yeah, far from as prolific as that. But yeah, there's just too many great books out there, really, aren't there, as well? You can never read enough, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we read a book a day because our TBR pile is insane. And if we have any chance of reading them before we die, then we need to read them constantly.
Yeah, exactly. You've got no chance of reading a book twice, let's put it that way.
No, I used to, but now no chance. Lucky if I could ever get to finish the one. Oh, yeah, I'll get there.
I'm sure some people don't even get to finish a whole book. Come on, there's people who are just like, I've read 10 books today. It's just like, just read the back, that looks good, I'll review it. I don't know, no. But yeah, I don't know how people do it, but it's great. It's just a good thing. It's good for the community, and it's great for the writers as well. So fantastic.
Yeah, I think authors like sending me their books because they know they're going to get feedback pretty quickly.
So that's a good thing. See, that's a good thing. That's a strength, that is.
Yeah, one of my favourite authors, I'd been waiting for his latest book for 9 months, which was just a killer. So even though I was nodding or falling asleep, I stayed up till 2 to finish it because I'm like, I've waited so long. I'm not going to sleep until I finished it. So I did.
Commitment.
Yeah, it was worth it, I think. Although I wanted to send him sweary messages and I couldn't because it was like 1:30 in the morning.
Just have to ring him and tell him then, wake him up. So, do you know
I actually do have his phone number, so I could do that as well. But I fear there are limits that I can't, there's lines that can't be crossed.
That's true. If you want his next book, then you better not do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'd send it to me anyway. He's a softie, so it's fine. I won't test that actually. What's your biggest dream as an author?
Oh, do you know what? I think it's just something. I was joking before. I just want someone to one day send me a picture of their dog next to my book. I think it was a thing a little while ago. I was just saying, I was like, that would be nice. I don't know. I think just where I was going to self-publish, I'd organised a book blog tour to begin with, and just people reading it and enjoying it was just kind of blew my mind. So I guess a part of me thinks I just never want to take that for granted, where just people actually give your stuff the time of day and it will still blow my mind. But of course, I'd love to see it in a window in a bookshop. That would be incredible. To speak to people about it, if anyone had a feedback and stuff like that, and enjoy talking about it. But obviously the end goal is a movie adaptation. But I think for me, I think the small goal is still the dog next to the book. I'll take that.
Yeah, small steps, I guess. That's quite a nice goal to have, actually. Yeah, my dog's asleep. If I got a copy, then I'll take a picture of.
Thank you very much. That'd be a dream come true.
Okay, it's a deal. It's done.
Brilliant.
And if you were able to spend the day with any author, dead or alive, who would you like to spend the day with?
Oh, that's a really good question. Do you know what? One of my favorite authors was John Fowles, who passed away when I was at university. Actually passed away in the same year that Patrick Caulfield, one of my favorite artists, passed away. So there's a tiny connection there. But I think that would be an interesting one, because one of my favorite books is The Collector, which has got some kind of unsettling themes because it's about kidnapping, and it's from the kidnapper and the kidnappee's point of view. So I think I'd like to sit him down and talk to him about that. But at the moment, it'd probably be a waste, because that would mean we'd get him over here to the UK and we get to see him. So I'm going to say that one for the alive.
So you've kind of touched on it, but what do you like to do when you're not writing?
When I'm not writing, what do I like to do? I am a bit of a walker. I like to go for walks. I very happily stick the headphones in and listen to music for quite a while. Big on my music. I like to write music. I've got a friend in Australia who I send stuff to, and he sends stuff back to me, and we write songs together. I used to be a singer in a rock band many moons ago. So yeah, music has always played a big part in my spare time and what I like to do. Yeah, that's probably one of my biggest passion, other than writing, is definitely the music. So as much time as I can spend with a guitar or singing into a wall, I'm happy.
And who do you listen to most?
So I'm really into Phoebe Bridgers at the moment. She's an American artist, and yeah, just love her kind of vibe, and yeah, she's got a really kind of unique kind of sound. I think she's kind of folky lyrics as well, which I like. Listen to her a lot at the moment. And then I've got old kind of bands that are still kind of going, like Biffy Clyro, that were like some of my first kind of musical loves. And I used to go see them in like tiny venues in front of like 200 people, and now you probably get nowhere near them now. They're massive. So yeah, still some of my top artists that I listen to. Probably at the moment there's just the two of them. I'm trying to think of what else I got on rotation. That's probably the main one. So yeah, you can always rely on those, I think, for me.
That's cool. Yeah, I like Biffy Clyro actually. Although I discovered them much later, but yeah, they're pretty cool.
Yeah, cool band.
Although I was listening to the Jam really loud at work this morning, just because.
Why not? Turn it up. Brilliant. If you can, do it.
Yeah, I was on my own, so I needed something to wake me up.
The Jam will do that.
They did, yes, very much so. You said you've travelled a lot. Is there any country that you haven't been to that is on your wish list?
Oh, this is a really good question. Spent some good travels. I think that I haven't been to. I've never actually been to America, so I think that would be a good one. I'm always told about these amazing kind of conventions over there, like in I think San Diego. My agent Kirsty's mentioned that one to me more than once. So that one sounds like that's on the hopefully travel soon list, if we can ever get anywhere easily ever again. But yeah, there's parts of Italy I'd really like to go to as well. I've never been properly to Italy, but I'm kind of a city break kind of person rather than a holiday person. So if I can just kind of keep moving for 3 days and come back knackered, I'll be happy. But yeah, those are probably, and I always like to go back to Australia because my best friend lives in Perth. So whenever I can get out there, that's always a good thing. But yeah, I think America's high up on the list next. I haven't been to quite a few cool places in the last kind of 5 years or so. That would be nice.
Yeah, I've only been to Florida as an adult, but it was awesome. I loved it, and I'd go back there in a heartbeat. So
brilliant.
Yeah, that's cool and hot, and we got robbed. So whatever, it's fine.
Happy days! What a memory! Goodness me. Sorry about that.
Oh, if I step foot outside my house, then disaster happens. So, and if I
hope you don't get robbed every time.
I've been robbed twice.
Oh gosh.
Missed planes. Airlines have gone bust. Flat tires, leaking floors. just yeah.
I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you leave the house every day.
I don't. If I can help it, except to go to work now, that's it. Any other time disaster happens. I've learnt my lesson. The universe says no. Stay in
home.
the UK. Yeah. Yeah, the funniest, I went to Barcelona for my 30th. No, I went for after. We missed our first plane. Then we got had to travel to London to get another one. Then stepped out the airport. I got shit on by a bird. Then we got a bus into the town centre and I got robbed. And then everything was shut because we were late and I don't know, I can't remember, it was November. And then I think, was that it? And then I got home and found out that my car needed a new engine. I was like, okay, fine. That's
Fine, me. It's not worth it. Don't leave the UK again.
No.
Not worth it.
I'm not. That was a while ago now, and I've learnt my lesson. I haven't been anywhere for ages. So
just got tear the passport up as soon as you get through the door.
Yeah.
That's enough now. That'll do for me.
But I want to see so many places. But just it's really expensive when you get robbed.
That does increase. Yeah, that does increase the expenditure that you weren't expecting. I'm very sorry to hear that. Actually, pretty distressing.
Yeah, that's just my life. Actually, that's fine. I'm used to it. Whatever.
Just used to getting robbed now.
Yeah, or just disasters happening. That's fine. It's not fine, but it is what it is. Have you thought of an embarrassing story yet?
Oh goodness. Okay, you were talking about this embarrassing story.
I mean, if you haven't,
I'm sure if you asked a few people that I knew, they'd come up with about 100.
If they're involved in alcohol, then that's fine.
There's probably a few of those.
Alcohol and nakedness generally.
Well, I did put this on Twitter the other day actually, that when I was at university, that we started a new module, and it was a new lecturer that I hadn't met before. So he was kind of doing the register, but pointing at people and asking their names and writing them down. So he was pointing at everyone, and he points to me, and I just thought it'd be funny. I was a bit of a silly person probably at university at the best times. He pointed to me and he said, "Your name?" I went, "Oh, it's Chet Cuppington." And of course, people around me sniggering. So I think he goes, "Oh, nice to meet you, Chet. Nice to see you." I was like, I can't do this. So I had to put my hand up. Then this is the embarrassing part. To say, "Oh no, it's actually Rob Barrow." Sorry, it's just because it went over his head, the joke, and this guy, that happened to me more than once in my life. But that was the first thing I could think of anyway.
That's cool. I'll take that. You'll have to email me if you think of anything more embarrassing in future.
I'll do a top 10 by the end of the night.
Yeah, I could give you 10 quite easily as well. I'm not going to, but I could. So just so you know, it happens to us all.
Good to know.
If you were to have a superpower, what would you choose?
Oh, the superpowers. Oh, that's a good one. I think, do you know what? At the moment, you can't play to get anywhere, so it'd be pretty useful being able to fly. I think that would be a good one. I think I'll go for that. Yeah. Unless is teleportation. Is that?
Yeah, I think that classes. Yeah,
I think that takes the strain out of the flying, and also the time. So why not?
Yeah,
that's
exactly. You could pop see your friend in Australia just like that, instead of like a horrendous 24-hour flight and losing the day and going.
I just go to Australia for a coffee. It'd be nice and easy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, teleportation. I like the sound of that. I think I chose invisibility because I'm nosy and I just want to know what's going on.
Well, equally, you probably wouldn't have got robbed in Barcelona if you're invisible. So
this is a very good point, actually. I like the way you think.
you travel a lot easier.
Yeah. And plus, I wouldn't have to pay for the plane or the bus and stuff. And yeah, I wouldn't lose my money. Could freak some people out, tap them on the shoulder. Yeah, actually, I like that.
There you go. We're thinking of good things.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your book or plug it, even though it's not out yet?
Sure. So it is a kind of industrial espionage book where it starts with this journalist who's going through some kind of personal turmoil at the start of the book. And then he goes to Prague for a little kind of city break at the Christmas markets. And then he meets this kind of enchanting lady who he's kind of a bit smitten with. And then through one circumstance or another, she kind of gets robbed and then disappears on a train, and he loses her, or so he thinks he does. And then he finds this brooch that she's left behind, and that's his kind of way of trying to find a way back to her. And this kind of sets the wheels in motion to his trip to Rotterdam, where he gets involved in this kind of pharmaceutical conspiracy where he's trying to make it a safer place, but he's got no kind of skills really, apart from he's a little bit investigative. But he actually works for a local paper as well, so he's a bit lost anyway in his life. But the local paper is in turmoil in itself, so he's trying to save many things at the same time. And I guess that kind of whets the appetite without going and spoiling the whole thing. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, I don't think I have any more questions for you. You may be relieved to hear, unless you think there's anything I haven't asked you that you want to tell us.
Did I pass the test? Did I pass the test? Oh, good.
I don't know what test, but I just agree with you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Would you like to tell everyone where they can find out more about you, in case they want to see your wonderful coffee art?
So yeah, if you want to see terrible latte art on my Twitter feed, or anything kind of to do with me and my book, then it's at RD Barrow author, and that's the same on my Instagram as well. The two of them. So it would be great to connect with anybody who wants to talk about bad latte art or anything at all. That would be great.
Yes, it's lots of fun, actually, your Twitter feed. So I would highly recommend following. And then hopefully we get to find out about your book when it comes out. So even better.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Donna. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.